What's up, guys? Welcome to Invest Today. My name is Jack. Today, we're going to talk about the best way to play the pot sector in 2019 and beyond. And honestly, this is something I've gotten myself into and a bunch of other clients, and it's going to be Constellation Brands, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So I'm going to jump into some financials and show you kind of their latest earnings report as well as their investor presentation that they put out in August. But first, I really believe that they are the best play on the pot sector for the long term. I would wait a little bit. They just had a great earnings report and they shot up a little bit for the last 2 days. So I would wait for it to pull back to the 200-day moving average and to have a successful test on the 200-day. We're going to go into what that means in a little bit. I'll bring up the chart and everything and show you guys. But just as an overview, I have it in my retirement account currently, and I have it also in the account of a couple other clients. And I've sold it a couple other times before for people, all for positive returns. And it's a rock solid company, pays a good dividend, and it's so well run as a company. The CEO is so forward looking, and I honestly love this stock. Now, in some current news, they just had fantastic earnings. They delivered robust third quarter earnings for fiscal 2018. And they both had a top and bottom line beat, which was awesome. And they had a raise. So they have a beat and raise quarter is kind of what they call it. It was a fantastic quarter. They topped estimates. They improved year over year. They have great growth in a business. They typically deal with spirits, wines, and beers. And that's something that's kind of slowing, across the country with like Anheuser-Busch and all the other companies. But Constellation Brands is the only company that's different right now, and they are actually growing year over year in a big way. It was 8% on their conference call. That's literally unheard of, absolutely unheard of for the kind of packaged goods sector currently. Furthermore, they really inspire investor confidence. This is the 13th quarter consecutively that they have beat earnings. And that's next to unheard of, out of a lot of companies. So to have a 13-quarter streak, go do the math. That's quite a lot of years of just continuing to beat and then raise on their guidance. And honestly, it's a company I'm really planning on staying in for the long term. All right, let's take a look at actually what I mean. Let's jump into some pictures. All right, guys. So I've kind of beaten this picture to death here on this channel, but just taking a quick look, the PE ratio is a 16 right now. And so that's pretty undervalued in terms of the broader market. The S&P 500 trades about a 25, a little north of that. And also they have a good yield right now of 1.36%. So that's just a little insurance for you guys, and just give you some security with some dividends here. Okay, guys, so taking a look, I just wanted to point out that the short is it's pretty low right now. It's at 3.20, which is pretty good. And I also want to highlight the trailing versus forward dividend yield. We see that there's an increase, in their year yield that they're giving out. So it's possible that will continue to trend higher. I personally believe that it will. Quarterly revenue growth year over year on the left side of the screen is at 6%, which I like to see, especially for a company this size. And their gross profit right now is it's almost $4 billion, which is, I think that's great. And their quarterly earnings growth year over year is a resounding 86%. So those are just some, good benchmarks to take a look at and some very bullish signs from the company. Okay, so moving to the investment that Constellation took in Canopy Growth, which I honestly believe is the best of breed cannabis stock. And I do that because, again, as highlighted here, it's the largest and most advanced cannabis supplier with a broad global scale. So as you're going to see in a little bit, Canopy owns a bunch of little, different types of smaller vendors, and they kind of want to play on cannabis-infused drinks, as well as some teas and stuff like that, possibly putting in food. So that's really what they're looking to kind of, trend towards in the future. And as you guys can see here, Canopy Growth, it's truly, they already have the infrastructure, which is honestly, it's very different from a lot of other Canopy companies, is that they can also rely on Constellation's kind of global infrastructure, and they can kind of take the great cannabis product that Canopy is going to produce and then use Constellation Brands distribution method to get it out to the consumer. If you haven't been living under a rock, you know that, cannabis has a giant potential to kind of be the next big market. We see on the right-hand side that it's currently in the United States a $50 billion industry, and that's considering it's not even legal. I mean, it's recreational and medical in, a handful of states, but it's by no means the majority or the entire country. So, that number has a chance to easily quadruple. In the future, we're talking maybe 4 years from now when it starts to get on the ballot of more states. And, as we see on the left-hand side, we know globally that it's trending. It's already legal in some countries. It's highlighting Canada, Israel, the Czech Republic, and the Netherlands and Uruguay. So, there's 25 plus countries that are exploring the legal cannabis framework. And honestly, it's only going to continue to trend in that way. So, I really look forward to it. And I really believe that Constellation and Canopy are poised to kind of be the leader on this forefront. If we take a look, Canopy already has a pretty good infrastructure. They have a presence in a bunch of countries, as you see on the right-hand side. But honestly, it's so based in Canada right now. And what I'm really banking on and what's going to happen in the future is, if you know the story of Coca-Cola and Monster, you're going to understand what I'm talking about. But if you don't, briefly, pretty much Monster gave the rights, the bottling rights to Coca-Cola. So pretty much Monster Energy, they allowed Coke to kind of bottle and distribute and relied on Coke's infrastructure. And if you know anything about the stock of Monster, it exploded, and it's up so much ever since they made that deal. And that's because they used Coke's infrastructure, the established network of Coca-Cola, and they were able to get Monster, worldwide and have it be the leader, beating out Rockstar and all these other companies. And that's really because they relied on the Coca-Cola infrastructure. And this is really what I'm banking on in the form of Constellation Brands and Canopy Growth, is that Canopy is going to come out with a great product. You're going to start to see the cannabis-infused beers, the teas, the coffees, all that sorts of stuff, and they're going to lean on Constellation Brands infrastructure. And that's going to be huge for the future of the cannabis industry, and it's going to hopefully be huge for the stock price. This is a stock I'm really getting behind, I'm heavily invested in, and I truly believe it's the best way to play the pot sector. Thank you, guys. Please hit the subscribe button. Throw me a like, throw me a comment. What did you guys think? Do you really think it's the best way to play the pot sector, or do you have another position that you guys think will outperform Constellation Brands and Canopy Growth in the future? Please let me know in the comment section. Thank you, guys, and I'll see you next time.